Well, hey everybody, I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to As Above, So Below, a rune and tarot divination for Thursday. Let's see, we're the 14th day of December 2023. Well, I hope you guys got out to see the Geminids last night. We weren't able to because it was cloudy, so hopefully we'll get a chance tonight. Last night and tonight are I guess, the two peak nights for it, but it's huge, I guess, and it's expected to be huge this time simply because we had the new moon the other day, and so the sky's pretty dark without the moon to brighten it up there and make it more difficult to see the meteors. But it's the big one in the year, really, or one of the bigger ones. So I always like to go out and watch those things. But of course, it was also, I don't know, I think it was about 36 degrees last night when we could go out, and it's pretty cold. So anyway, but I hope you guys, I hope you got to see it at least. Anyhow, we're also in Mercury retrograde. Remember that? That's another thing going on. That started yesterday. And, well, it has, I told you guys this before, there's a shadow period before and after, and so for about a week each way, so it's about 5 weeks long, really, when you feel the influence. You start to feel the influence about a week before. I certainly did. But usually, I'm not bothered by Mercury retrograde, never have been. I don't know why, but I'm not. Anyway, let's go ahead and take our runes to get us started. They're the significators for the reading. They're kind of the focus. And we're going to start with Hagalaz from the Elder Futhark. That's the above side of things, or the higher self side of things. Hagalaz is one of the Norn runes. There's three in the Elder Futhark: Hagalaz, Nathis, and Isa. And the Norns were reportedly the witches that gave Odin the runes when he hung upside down from the world tree to gain enlightenment, and that was his enlightenment, apparently. But Hagalaz is the ninth rune of the Elder Futhark. It's known as the witch rune. It's destruction within fixed boundaries. It means hail. So, when hail comes, it can be quite destructive, but then it melts. If you live in a place where you get big hail, we've only had that once here, and that was back in the 90s, where we had golf ball size hail. I mean, it did damage. We had to turn it into our insurance company. Our cars were just battered. And so, but that's the only time that's ever happened. You get down in places like Texas, of course, and I think Colorado has the same issue, where big chunks of ice come down, and so you can see it. But then once it's gone, then it's like, how did this destruction happen? If you didn't know, there's all this destruction around. I know we had birds had been hit and were killed, and our trees were basically stripped of all the leaves, and it was a mess. And it was a mess. It took a while to clean it all up. But if you didn't know, it'd be, well, how did this happen? Because there's no evidence of it. And that's kind of the thing about transformation. It happens in a flash, and there you are. So this could be it'd be the Norn rune of the past as well. So it kind of governs past issues. So you'd be transforming something that say you had a shift in perception. About something. You had a flash of awareness, and suddenly you understood something very clearly. That would be an example of Hagalaz. So it could be something today that maybe you come to realize, and it really changes how you see things. And so that would be an example of Hagalaz. Well, let's go ahead and pull the Geomancy rune here. We're going to throw down the four elemental ones to figure out what it's going to be. We'll put these in the order of air, fire, water, and earth. I think this is going to be an easy one. This is Populus. Populus, well, I'll back up. Geomancy is an earth energy type of divination tool. It can involve ley lines. It can involve pendulums. Not just this, but it's basically earth stuff. So I view it as the ego side of things. So the below side of things. And there's essentially 8 concepts that it deals with, overall concepts, and you see both sides of each one. So there's 16 runes, but there's sets of 2. One complements the other. And with I took out Vaya. Vaya is Populus's complement, and so whereas Vaya would be an independent path you take, here's Populus. Populus would be following along with the crowd. 2 dots on a geomancy rune indicate a passive influence. And so that you see passive influences all the way down from fire, air, water, and earth, all elements. This would be via its complement. And so you have single dots all the way down. This would be active influence. You're actively taking a new path. But again, with populace, it's following along. And so maybe there's either you find the value in collaboration with others today that maybe you didn't see before, or you decide to reject that and realize that that's not your path, that you need to take matters into your own hands and you need to define whatever your experience is going to be, not let the group do that for you, basically. And so that could be, the main issue of the reading today. But let's see. Let's take some cards and see if they follow along, if we can find some resonance there. If not, we might have to take another look at how we're going to interpret the runes. Having just one of anything doesn't necessarily give you the biggest picture. That's why it's always good when you are looking at tarot cards or even runes to take a couple more, to try to see if there's some kind of a pattern that's developing there, to really bring home what the true meaning is. And that's why, when you're just pulling one tarot card, well, it's fine, it's interesting, but it doesn't tell necessarily the entire story. So let's take 3 cards. I've already done some shuffling before we started here. And we'll cut the deck. Take the lower half. Well, here we have 2 cards from the Major Arcana and 1 from the Suit of Cups. I think I'm going to start with the Suit of Cups, and then we'll move on to the 2 major cards here. We have the Four of Cups, we have the Empress, and we have the Tower. So let's. I need to do my little calculator up. I need to do the numerology here first. So let's do that. Let me add this up here. So 4. Get my keyboard out. Plus, let's see, 16 plus 3 equals 23. Let me do that again to be sure, because I'm not watching here. I'm just watching the cards. Oh, and I should do 9 with, we'll start with 9 with Hagala. So there's 9 plus 4. I didn't add that one in. 4 plus 16 plus 3 equals 32. Well, it came out to be the same thing. When you reduce 32, you add 3 and 2 together, and you come up with 5. And so 5 is about change and protection and freedom versus restriction. And again, if it's freedom versus restriction, change alone can apply to the runes themselves here. But freedom versus restriction, maybe you have a little more freedom working independently than you do with the crowd. And it's interesting because the last couple of readings we've had have been talking about maybe collaboration with others, and part of the issue might be that it's not something that you're particularly comfortable with. You prefer to do, a little more independent work on your own, and maybe collaboration with others isn't as easy. So it's kind of interesting that at least at first blush, that's where we are here. Particularly with the numerology and the definition of a 5 numerology. So anyhow, though, let's go ahead and start with a 4. Let me move this out of the way. I'll start with the 4 of Cups. Now here we have a guy is seemingly contemplative. 4 is about structure and foundation, practicality, hard work, security, all of that. But Cups is about our emotions. And here, he may not feel so emotionally secure about something. He's looking down at the 3 cups on the ground, but I'm not sure I'm not sure that his focus is really on it. I used to interpret this as he's leaning up against the oak tree, but if you look here, right to the side of him here, I've realized that he's really not leaning on it. He's sitting straight up and down. In fact, maybe even leaning a little bit forward, because he's in a defensive posture. he's got his arms folded and his legs crossed. And so one might interpret that as a defensive posture. So he could be feeling emotionally defensive and not really aware of what he's got. And he certainly doesn't acknowledge the hand that's reaching out from the cloud, holding a golden cup there. And again, he doesn't, that's an oak tree behind him. He doesn't seem to be drawing any strength from it. If he's not leaning up against it, if he were, and I think I used to when I thought he was leaning up against it, but I don't know, one day I just realized, it's like, you know what, he's not doing that. And so that was my misinterpretation there, I think. But it's almost like he can't draw any oak strength at all in this. He's really unto himself, essentially, and he can't really get outside of that. And so with 4, sometimes the structure and foundation can be too much, and it keeps you from moving in one direction or another, maybe. So if that's the case, I don't see a feeling of respite like you do with the 4 of swords, for example, where you're letting your thoughts come to a rest. I mean, it may be the case in here, and it may be dependent upon the other cards, but I don't think so. Not in terms of the Tower next and then the Empress. So I think that so far with this card, let's just read it as he's just sitting there and he's really in an intense focus within. He may not be experiencing any emotional satisfaction in his life, and this is just representing that. Especially if you're thinking about Hagalaz and something needs to shift. So maybe he's not comfortable. You could say, say if it's just a group of friends or something, maybe he's no longer comfortable with the group of friends, and he needs suddenly his belief systems don't align with them, maybe, and so maybe something transformative needs to happen, and then in comes the Tower, which does that. Now here you see the 16th card of Major Arcana. 16 reduces to 7. 6 and 1 is 7. And so 7 is about balance and observation, letting things settle out. In a sense, you can represent a scale here, where you've got the top here and then the 2 pans right here. Something's happened. The lightning bolt has come in. It's blown the lid off or the top off the tower, if you will. And you see, you see fire coming out of the 3 windows. You see the 2 individuals, and it's almost, they're falling out, but we don't know that anything bad happened. There could be a moat right down there, and deep enough they fell in and they're swimming to shore at this point. So we don't know the end result of this, but we do know something transformative has happened, something to manifest great change. And again, with today's 5 numerology, again, change comes into play. You can look at this. This one has although they're both wearing blue, bedroom attire, if you will, because it's nighttime out, so maybe they were asleep, and then so metaphorically you were asleep and something woke up in you and you realized some things. But here we have one is wearing a red cloak, and so there could be fire element there, so really transformative here, but here would be more just the water element with just the blue, although he's got red slippers on here. So we don't probably need to put any real meaning to any of that, but the bottom line here is with the Tower, it's about transformation, it's disruption, it's catalytic change, it's positive transformation, it's letting go. You see the phrases, and I use it in some of the things I write about when I'm talking about letting go of perceptions that no longer serve. It's the same sort of thing, where you make this realization. And again, Hagalaz is all about that transformation. So again, maybe this is a situation where, in fact, you're not emotionally satisfied with something that you're involved with, a group of people you're involved with, maybe. There's just some issues there for you. And maybe it's been building for a while, maybe it hasn't, maybe just something happens, and just like that, which, with Hagalaz, it would indicate that. The same with the Tower. Maybe there's just something that just happened where, wow, you're really having to rethink something, having to do with maybe being passive in a group setting, where you don't assert yourself, and and or maybe somehow truth was brought out in the group, where suddenly you're like, oh, okay, I see what's going on now. It could be something like that, right? And then from there we go to the Empress, which is all about love, fertility, the goddess and the mother aspect, the womb, abundance, receptivity, beauty, and success. You see Venus here on the heart-shaped shield, the glyph for Venus. You're looking at the crown, and I believe, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Is there 12? Yeah, I think there's 12 stars here on the crown. Let me count it again. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yes. And generally they associate that with the 12 stars of the zodiac, or the 12 signs of the zodiac, or the 12 constellations, or what have you. And the influence, in other words, the influence of higher energies on our ability to be compassionate and to seek beauty and to expand our minds, and here to give birth to something new. And so you could think in terms of the Empress of all of this abundance around here. You see the wheat down here. You see and you have to look really close. You see how there's you can see the water, the little river creek flowing, and then there's a waterfall. So there's a lot of abundance around her, a lot of nourishment. So you can think of it in terms, especially if you think of her being pregnant, because she is, and it's kind of hard to see that here. But she's essentially, you have the fool that takes the leap of faith into form, and then you have the magician and the high priestess who develop the physical reality with the magician, and the subconscious realm with the high priestess. And then the very next card you have is the Empress. You can take those two energies, cards 1 and 2 equal 3. And you can see the magician and the high priestess as in a sense, the parents who give birth to the Empress, who then gives birth to creation, followed by the emperor, who brings structure and laws to that creation, but he's just her consort. That's all he is in the equation. There's no really connection like you see in the Lovers, where you see a couple and coming, trying to come together in some kind of relationship. And so essentially the transformation then allows you to think differently about how you see what's going on in your life at that moment. And if it's a group of people we're talking about, it could just mean that, some awareness has come in and you can't ignore it any longer. Maybe there have been signs, maybe there hasn't. Again, there's a transformation effect here, which is like right now. The hail came down on our property right now. And it went on for a bit, and then it was over, and then I'm on the phone with the insurance adjuster, with the claims office actually, and he's laughing, oh, there, we got a little hail, and so then all of a sudden it hit again, and I'm outside on the porch, and he can hear it. And so I think he felt a little foolish at that point, because yes, it's golf ball size hail. I mean, it was this deep. And so in the yards, and so this was really, but it was a right now experience. We weren't expecting it. Why would we? We get hail here, but not like that. And so it was unexpected, right then, right now. And with the tower, it's the same thing. The lightning bolt comes in. I had one come in. I was pregnant with our second child, and I'm at the stove. I'm cooking. And there's a piece of rebar in the yard on the fence line, and not sure why that was there, but the lightning came down and hit it. And the explosion was so instantaneous. The flash of light and the explosion from it hitting was so instantaneous. So it's like I'm like experiencing the tower right there, and my husband's screaming, "Step away from everything," because here I am pregnant, and so I immediately got back from the stove. But it's that moment of the flash of inspiration, the flash of awareness, that you cannot simply ignore it. There's no way you can. And I think that it's powerful, and I think that it signifies a really powerful shift in your life or in your perceptions. And so but again, it looks like it has something to do with either not being passive anymore, if you want to look at populace that way, or It generally populace means, and that's just energetically, but generally populace means a follower or the crowd or the people. So it's a group. So it indicates a group, and again, maybe there's just something that occurred. Maybe somebody said something or did something that shed more light on how you see things, and to the point that it's transformative. It may be something where you decide, I don't want to be around this group anymore. So that's a big deal, especially if they've been your system of support for a while. And maybe you decided, hey, I guess I don't really have anything in common with them after all. It could be something as powerful as that. But again, what I want you to think about today is something that's abrupt, that just you realize. It's like when you realize you've been lied to by somebody. It's like, oh boy. And and it just, you get the body feeling from it, and it's very impactful, it's very powerful. And so this just so it just tells me that, but unfortunately with the 4, it tells me that either you've gotten to the point where you are realizing you're not satisfied, and then you get the flash of inspiration, and then it opens the door to some kind of other new beginning, for you to give birth essentially to something new, something more abundant, something more loving, something that's more in balance, balanced within yourself. So again, even with the flash of inspiration, I think it just tells me, yeah, maybe this has been coming, maybe. But again, something has to have happened that really makes you let go of perceptions, again, that no longer serve, to use that type of adage here. And just be prepared for it. This could be a very transformative time for you, and where you can really rethink things and come out on the other side of it in a much better place for yourself. It's kind of good for a Thursday. You think, oh my God, the Tower. But no, it's actually a really positive card, where higher awareness is saying, listen, it's going to shake things up a little bit and make you think about things that in a way that you never have before. Kind of like what we try to do here with the cards and the runes. Just to use them as tools to see things from a different perspective, which may be enormously transformative for you. Or maybe you think about it and, well, yeah, okay, whatever, and you move on. But then maybe later on, it's like, well, that reading I did, might apply to something, or that reading I had done for me maybe I didn't think it applied initially, but now it's given me some tools to reimagine things in a different way, and rethink things. Oops, I didn't turn off my 8 o'clock alarm. Sorry about that. But anyhow, I think that's it. Again, if you can get out and see the Geminids tonight, more power to you. I just love it when the sky's lit up with meteors. It's just the coolest thing ever. So I find those moments transformative for me. So they're my Tower moments. But honestly, if you can get out and see them, do so. It's really cool. If you're and the other thing with the new moon the other day, that we generally like to set our intentions on the new moon for the coming few weeks, till the full moon, and where we then sort of check in and see, okay, what have I been able to accomplish in this 2-week time period? But just the whole idea of not being afraid to let new awareness transform your life. Don't resist it. It's a wonderful feeling. It can be a little scary because you're kind of feeling like, oh gosh, I'm out there on the leading edge. I have no idea what's going to happen next. But sometimes that's a good thing, So carry this with you if you want, if it resonates, and have a good weekend. And come back again on Monday for another edition of As Above, So Below. Be good to yourself. Be good to one another, and blessed be.